guys! Today we'll be recapping a story called Hoping for My Death. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot. Enjoy! Some say people don't fear death itself, but only seek an end to their suffering. Could this be true for Sylvia Florette? In Florette County, Sylvia's parents are shocked to hear her accept the Duke of Bellefort's marriage proposal. The Florette couple are on the verge of tears, seeing her finally make something of her life. For the past 22 years, Sylvia's parents gave her everything, but she refused to accept most of it. She only wants a comfortable bed. Worried about who'll care for their fragile daughter after they're gone, they search for a son-in-law, the Duke of Bellefort. As Sylvia sips tea, she quietly thinks, monsters that appear in the Bellefort Duchy can be her chance to die, since she, Alyssa, can't kill herself. A few days ago in the royal palace of Alvarez, the king urged Randall Bellefort, the Duke of Bellefort, to find a partner, mentioning the Florette's couple's search for a son-in-law, in order dressed as advice. Fearing for his territory, the demon land Cabetia, and losing food aid, he has no choice but to obey. On the wedding day in Bellefort Duchy, Randall stops his guards from singing about his marriage. He frowns, recalling they were opposed to his marriage. Annoyed, he threatens to double their training when he returns, then walks away. He turns to Austin, Bellefort's wizard, and asks about the teleportation circle to the capital. Austin casts the teleportation circle, and Randall orders the departure. He hopes he and his wife will get along. There's no guarantee House Florette isn't the king's followers. He also hopes he'll never need to kill his wife. In the Alvarez wedding hall, the Florette couple shed a tear. Worried, they tell Sylvia to come home immediately if she's mistreated. She assures them and walks away to meet her husband. If she's unlucky, she might live long. She never wanted this life, or rather, her 100th life. 100th? No wonder she's so eager to die. Alyssa reincarnated 99 times. In her first life, she was an archmage who was praised for fighting demons. To ensure the people's happiness, she studied darkness, a power wielded by demons. Once she mastered it, she opened a portal to the demon's world and told her colleagues. Fearing her growing power, they pushed her down the demon world, leaving her to wonder what she did wrong. Alyssa killed demons and Vassus, the demon lord, looking demonic herself. Consumed by madness, she took revenge and attacked the human world. Suddenly, warrior Cleon appeared and killed her using his magic-infused sword. Soon after, she woke up in a snowy white void, certain she had died. A voice speaks, saying she must pay for her sins by living 99 lives through reincarnation. She tried to commit suicide several times, but she couldn't take her own life. If she tries to kill herself once she's free, she'll have to repeat her punishment. This makes her numb. They say villains aren't born, they're made. Back in reality, she smiles at Randall and takes his hand. Together they walk down the aisle and are lost in thought. He notices how thin and petite she is, while Sylvia thinks he's a nice guy. They arrive at the altar and the ceremony begins. The priest declares them as husband and wife and tells them they may now kiss. He looks at his guards, holding their laughter. Since she's 3 years younger, Randall thinks she'll be embarrassed. He gently takes the bouquet in her hands, lifts it to cover their face, and leans in as if they're kissing behind it. Suddenly, she tells him to part his lips and leans in to kiss him. She pulls away, leaving him flustered. With God watching, it's best to show she and her husband get along. OMG! During the reception, everyone is struck by Sylvia's beauty and Randall's charm as they dance. They believe she's a succubus. Randall pauses, unsure how to address her. She reads his expression and says to call her Sylvia, or whatever he prefers. His thoughts must have shown through his face. He says to call him Randall and speak casually. He doesn't want others to feel below him. Hearing this makes her smile, and they continue to dance. Suddenly, a maid calls Sylvia to change her clothes. She heads to the changing room while Randall approaches the Florette couple. He promises to take good care of their daughter, and they're welcome to lecture him if he ever has shortcomings. Then, he asks if Sylvia only stayed in the manor for the past 22 years. The couple grows concerned, telling him Sylvia is heavily lethargic. She once slept for 3 days straight. Randall is speechless. The next day, as everyone gets ready to depart, he glances at Sylvia, wondering how someone can lay in bed all day. He must force her to walk at least once a day. Austin informs Randall the teleportation circle is ready and expresses his gratitude. He approaches Sylvia, calling her wife, and tells her they must depart. Inside the carriage, she's lost in thought. Sorry, yet relieved he's a kind person. It'll make things easier for him to remarry after she dies. She peeks through the carriage window. Only trees. Thoughts of her parents fill her mind. She feels stuffy and just wants to lie in bed once they arrive. She'll have to endure the long journey. After all, it's their first night. Outside the carriage, Randall grows cautious after hearing something. He notices Austin's unhappy expression, but Austin says it's because of the old-fashioned flashy portal. Randall suggests making a new portal, but Austin refuses. He doesn't get paid enough to drain his magic. This money-obsessed guy. That's right, Austin. Demand a higher salary. As the journey carries on, Sylvia and Randall are alarmed by the sound they hear. Randall orders Austin to cast a barrier around the forest and tells Sylvia to stay quiet inside the carriage. Suddenly, a creeping sound echoes as a dark aura spreads through the environment. Without warning, several beasts lunge at them. Pyrobats. They take down one pyrobat after another, with Randall slaying most of them. As he finishes another, he worries about Sylvia trembling in fear, but she's calmly watching the brawl. Jeffrey, a knight, catches his breath. He admires Randall killing half of the pyrobats, but suddenly 2 children appear from the bushes. Alarmed, he tells them to hide somewhere safe, but they're frozen, trembling in shock and fear. Suddenly, a pyrobat charges at him, slamming him into the carriage door and breaking it. Sylvia steps out and is faced with a pyrobat. Randall rushes to her, but she freezes as her eyes glow with fiery red and orange light. As her eyes glow, she reanimates a dead pyrobat, which attacks the pyrobat charging at her. The 2 pyrobats fight in front of her, leaving Jeffrey stunned. She glances at Jeffrey, silencing him. His eyes turn red before he drops unconscious. Randall rushes to Sylvia, then turns to Jeffrey. The guards rush to his aid, calling for Austin. She notices Randall's hand trembling in shock and fear, so she holds his hand, assuring him Jeffrey will be fine. Amazing! She still remembers her magic from her past life. At the castle, Jeffrey awakens and apologizes to Sylvia for the situation she saw. Then he wonders about the children. Sylvia never thought she'd use magic in this life. She saw the monster as a chance to die, but not like that, not in front of the children. Besides, Randall had grown deeply concerned for her. Seeing his wife die like that could traumatize him. She'll have to wait for the next opportunity to die. She's relieved Austin wasn't nearby. He would have sensed her magic. She'll have to be more careful. Suddenly, Walcott, the butler, and Thelma, the head maid, greet them. They return the gesture. Thelma leads Sylvia to her room, but a portrait of the formal ducal couple catches her eye. She knows them. In her past life, she once helped a shabby couple in the forest, unaware they were the Duke and Duchess. In the evening, the maids chat with Sylvia as they help her bathe, admiring her beauty and humor. However, she feels pressured to consummate their marriage. She wants to do it properly and quickly. She enters their room to find Randall waiting. He greets her and she returns the gesture. She notices his chest showing. His body isn't bad. Randall says he has something to discuss, and she suggests they sit together. Shyly, he takes the seat beside her on the bed. He plans to suggest they rest after a long day, but she suddenly starts to undress him, catching him completely off guard. She explains it's their marital duty while she climbs on top of him. He insists she doesn't have to do this out of obligation, especially if she doesn't like him, but she says she does, making him blush instantly. Feeling awkward, he looks away and asks her to come down. She glances at him, reads his flustered expression, and gets down. Before she could, she falls onto his chest and drifts into sleep. He grows concerned. This must be the aftershock after the forest situation. He tries to call Walcott and Thelma, but worries she'll wake up from her slumber. Her clothes might slip if he moves her. He has no choice but to stay up. He's so easily flustered. The next day, she wakes up and asks if they did it. Randall takes it the wrong way. He isn't someone who takes advantage of a sleeping woman. In the dining hall, he presents a feast for her. She's overwhelmed they didn't do it last night. She turns to him, asking when they'll consummate their marriage. In disbelief, he repeats that she's not obligated to do it, but she fears she might be ridiculed as a duchess if their marriage isn't consummated. Randall assures her she won't. She becomes quiet. How could she not be criticized when normal couples consummate their marriage on the first night? She needs to deceive God to die naturally in this life, but she needs to pretend they're a normal couple. She needs his help to expedite her death, so she proposes a deal. A deal? This sparks curiosity in him. She happily says they should try liking each other. For every touch, she'll grant him something he wants. He asks for clarity. Touching? She means they hold hands, and he agrees. Then she asks what he wants. He gives her a cheeky smile and offers Bellafort's specialty, hinting she should eat it. She's horrified. His request is too cruel. She can barely eat any meal. I love how he's so concerned about her health. Moments later, they walk through the garden while holding hands. He can't help but laugh over his request. Was he too cruel on her? Although it's an arranged marriage, he doesn't mind holding her hand. If she's the king's spy, it'd be easier to watch her when she's close. He speaks up, mentioning the vassal's arrival. It's her first time officially greeting them as Duchess, and they're eager to meet her. He assures her Thelma and Walcott will help her with the banquet. It won't be hard for her since she's done it a few times in her past life, but she'll do her best. He takes his leave and she bids him goodbye, purposely calling him honey to fluster him. That's her revenge for that specialty meal. At Bellafort's entrance, Randall and his guards meet the forest children, warning them not to go there again. But the children explain. They went to gather herbs since the old herb garden was damaged. He understands and sends them off. He wonders, does the herb garden get damaged frequently? Suspecting a lurking monster, he gathers his guards and investigates. Moments later, they gather in the forest. Before separating, he instructs them to check all barrier stones are working properly. Not long after, 4 out of 5 report the barrier stones are functioning properly. Only one at the center of the forest remains unchecked. They head to the last stone, only to find it split in half. Suddenly, an enormous snake lunges at them. They draw their swords and kill the snake. Randall orders the injured to be taken back to the castle while he inspects the stone. The stone is cut cleanly. It can't be monsters nor demons. Austin's barrier would have been alarmed and reacted. He suspects the darkness bug. They're no longer human, yet they still do these acts. He orders his guards to call the vassals and submit a list of everyone entering and leaving their territories. They must find them before they can do further harm. At the castle, Thelma shows Sylvia the newly refurbished banquet. Sylvia suggests renovating the banquet hall, as it's where most guests gather. Thelma's prepared. She already called the head of the organization. In the reception room, Sylvia meets Chick Hedera, the owner of Cheville. Before discussing the renovations, he plans to take advantage of her, assuming she's ignorant. Thelma asks for the price, and he demands 30 gold. Thelma and the maids turn pale, telling Sylvia it's more than Duke Bellafort's monthly profit. Sylvia remembers that most of Bellafort's income goes to aiding victims from demon attacks. Thelma tries to negotiate, but Chick throws a tantrum. She tries again, but Sylvia interrupts. With a cold expression, she tells Chick she saw those items before her marriage. Clearly last season's items. She accuses him of trying to sell unsold goods at a higher price. He argues back, but she threatens him. If there's any falsehood in his words, he'll be an enemy to both Florette and Bellafort Duchy. As she's about to sign the paperwork, he stops her and lowers his price to 15 gold. That same evening, Thelma tells Randall of Sylvia's negotiation and plans to express his gratitude, but she's asleep. He carefully scoots into bed, hoping she won't wake up. Suddenly, she leans closer to him, but he stops her. She says they don't have to do it, but physical intimacy is part of being a couple, and wonders why he keeps avoiding it. He sighs, pulls her close to his chest, and tells her to sleep. What a peculiar woman! I guess cuddling is the next step. In Randall's office, Austin notes he's been smiling a lot lately, like a puppy. Randall can't help it, remembering how Sylvia refused to eat even when he offered to hold her hand, until he promised to hug instead. Suddenly, Austin raises his voice, asking him what he'll do if Sylvia is truly the king's spy. Randall grows upset and warns him. Austin quickly apologizes for his behavior. Then, they discuss how reinforcing the barrier will take some time. He'll do his best, if Randall gives him a bonus. Randall agrees, and Austin leaves happily. As Sylvia and Thelma walk outside the palace, Sylvia grows tired after trying on many banquet outfits. She looks pretty in every outfit. Suddenly, she notices Austin on the grass, his notes scattered around him. Furious, Thelma and Austin argue about his scheduled naps. Thelma excuses Sylvia, saying she needs to clean up trash, meaning Austin. Sylvia notes the lighting temperature and humidity are perfect for lounging. She takes a seat beside him, but he's cautious. She might be the king's spy. She notices the barrier formula she had made when she was Alyssa. Frustrated, he screams. If she helps him, the possibility of her death will decrease, so she plans to ruin it. She asks to see his notes and mentions her father is the vice president of Alvarez Academy. As she checks, she recalls Thelma saying Austin is the only one worthy to be called Archmage after Alyssa, but he has a long way to go. Alyssa had a habit of fixing formulas without noticing. Sylvia writes on Austin's paper and he quickly snatches it back, only to realize she just solved his problem. She fixed it without realizing it. She gets up and pleads with him not to tell anyone she fixed it. How could he not? He lets his guard down and admires her, screaming out her name. On the night of the banquet, butlers dress Randall as he worries Sylvia might be waiting. Once ready, he can't wait to see her. In the other room, maids adore how gorgeous Sylvia looks. They spent hours dressing her. Suddenly, a maid announces Randall is at the door. Everyone's excited to present Sylvia to Randall. She steps out in a stunning white dress, leaving Randall starstruck. She apologizes for the wait, but he doesn't mind. He approaches her and calls her beautiful. She teases him, saying she'll wear the outfit to the bedroom. Randall and Sylvia thank the guests for congratulating their marriage. He introduces her as his equal, and she happily greets them. The guests adore the beautiful couple, noting their strong relationship. But in the background, a girl watches unhappily. Do we have an antagonist here? Suddenly, Malta Sakrine and Randall greet each other. When Randall asks about Philia, Malta Sakrine sighs in dismay. She went down south to see the war. Randall asks about the war, and Malta Sakrine says the crown prince is still acting like a madman. Sylvia glances at Randall, admiring how humble he is, unlike most people with higher status. She thinks that it'd be best to fulfill their marital duties and stop seeing each other. Suddenly, Rubia Glaver greets her. Sylvia pauses. She can feel the aura Rubia gives off, binded by their excessive loyalty that they'll defy their own loyalty to go against their lord. Rubia's gaze turns cold as she asks Sylvia if she knows how many opportunities the northern region lost due to their marriage. She confronts Sylvia, saying marriage is a way to expand influence, but since the Floret family is one of His Majesty's most loyal subjects, would she even be any real help to the north? She has a point, but the king arranged them together. She believes other ladies are worthy of the spot Sylvia's sitting in. If she cares for his lordship, she should step down. She waits for her response, but Sylvia responds lethargically. She chuckles, telling her she won't annul her marriage with Randall. Knowing neither she nor Randall arranged the marriage, it's cowardly of Rubia to condemn her. Suddenly, a magic circle forms on the ceiling and a monster with tentacles steps out, throwing everyone into a panic. Randall shouts for her to run as a tentacle lunges at her feet, but she freezes. Is this her chance to die? A hand grabs her to the side. It's Rubia saving her life. The monster appears at Rubia's side. Without hesitation, Sylvia protects her. She collapses, falling unconscious and bloody as Randall's voice echoes, calling out her name. Everything turned black. She wakes up as Alyssa with blood on her body. She sees a boy with white hair next to her and asks his name. It's Cleon. Cleon the warrior? She mishears it as Leo and keeps calling him that. Annoyed, he eventually accepts it since she saved his life from a monster. From then on, he followed Alyssa around and became the camp's errand boy. Sylvia wakes up, trying to recall if he really was Cleon the warrior. She realizes she failed to die again. Suddenly, Randall speaks, asking how she's feeling. He says Austin used magic to heal her and advises her to rest. She notices his puffy eyes and gets up. She gently holds his face. Has he been crying? She wonders why he makes her feel so flustered. When despair creeps in, he immediately looks her way and speaks to her with sincere eyes. He pulls back, saying he was worried about her. She smiles, opens her arms, and asks to share his body heat. She's really cold. He blushes and embraces her tightly. Moments later, he tells her he sent a letter to her parents about her injury. Ugh, they must be in love. Knowing her parents, they probably wanted to rush over right away. However, Austin's new barrier isn't finished yet, making it too dangerous to come. He adds that the Floret estate is near the capital, so she can teleport there without straining her body. She is confused. He explains the northern kingdoms aren't safe to live in, so he will send her back to the Floret estate to ensure her safety. Sylvia stares at Randall, dumbfounded and hurt by his proposal of sending her back to her parents. Just looking at him, she can tell how hard he's thought of his decision. But being apart from him is something she refuses to entertain. Being in the north means a lot of opportunities for her death, after all. She tries to reason with him, claiming that she'd be ridiculed for failing her duties as the Duchess of the North. Yet Randall remains firm, reassuring her that no such thing would happen. He tries his best to act composed, but deep down he's breaking. The guilt of putting Sylvia in danger eats away at his conscience. Unexpectedly, Sylvia pulls him close, embracing him warmly. The North is her home now, and most of all, she likes him, so there's no way she'd accept his offer. Hearing her words, Randall melts into her arms, pulling her closer to him as he thanks her, once more apologizing for not being able to protect her. As they pull away from each other, the two lock eyes, and little by little, Randall inches close. Close enough to kiss her. But suddenly, he stops himself and rolls Sylvia into her blankets as he leaves. She looks like a sushi roll. Outside, he reprimands himself for almost giving in to his desires. Snapping out of it, he then decides to focus on more urgent matters, especially concerning the demon incident. Apparently, on the night of the attack, he found out that the demon had been brought in using a jewel with a teleportation spell. Fury in his eyes, he demanded to know the culprit, only for Rubia Glaver to turn herself in. Rubia explained herself, recounting how she was tearing up her dress to bandage Sylvia. But as she did so, she noticed the jewel attached to the hem of her dress. Given Rubia's testimony, Randall and his staff sought to retrace Rubia's steps. But out of nowhere, one of Randall's vassals began ratting out the culprit. It turns out he had seen a servant fish the jewel out of his mouth before the demon materialized. As punishment, the servant's head was mounted on a spike. But despite the issue being resolved, one thing still bothers Randall: the servant's last words. Before he was executed, he confessed that he was merely a pawn working on commission. The real mastermind was still out there, and it was just someone he met by chance on the streets. Randall can only wonder who this mystery man could be. Days later, Sylvia is finally well enough to move around, but to her dismay, the maids still treat her like a delicate flower. As she takes a stroll, she recalls the night of the demon attack, when she took the hit and fell into Rubia's arms. Rubia's father had muttered something from under his breath about someone who couldn't even do the job right. Oh my god, so he's the real culprit behind the attack! Speaking of which, she sees Rubia from a distance. Without hesitation, she approaches Rubia, taking the opportunity to thank her for dressing her wound. But to her surprise, Rubia replies in a word vomit. Speaking quickly, she croaks out her heartfelt thanks and leaves. Left alone, Sylvia asks Thelma a question that leaves her shocked. Was there perhaps any event that could have put a rift between Randall and Marquise Glaver? Thelma answers Sylvia, beginning with a tale from the past. Apparently, Randall's father, Duke Elvis, originally came from a territory called Rockland, but after losing the throne to his brother, he willingly left Rockland to make a name for himself, eventually going north and building it into Belfort territory they know today. Elvis Belfort had succeeded in reuniting all the families in the north, but in a turn of events, he and his wife succumbed to a fight against demons, leaving a young Randall behind. But due to Randall's young age, northern vassals deemed him unfit to rule. Their criticism broke him, until one day a young Randall returned home soaked in blood, clutching a dismembered demon's hand. He held it up until he collapsed, desperate to prove that he's not just a useless child. Soon, word about his bravery and determination reached the ears of many. Commoners felt sympathy as they villainized the vassals for how inconsiderate they were. Even the king had caught wind of everything, leading him to accept Randall's ascension to the title. But still, he was far too young to rule, which left him in the prince's care until he turned 10. In the midst of all the chaos, it was Marquise Glaver who reunited all the nobles again. From Randall's point of view, Marquise Glaver would be like the hero that aided him. Hearing all this, Sylvia thanks Thelma for making her understand Randall more. That night, she ponders on the matter intently. In the end, she opts not to tell Randall about Marquise Glaver's betrayal, fearing he might feel broken. Someone as scarred as Randall, she can't help but feel sorry for him. Oof, he's scarred literally and figuratively. The following day, Randall and his men venture into the forest. He turns to Austin for some love advice, but he says he's asking for a friend. We've all heard that excuse before. Assuming his friend likes a girl, but the girl is only attracted to his friend's body, what should his friend do? Austin deadpans, stating that this mysterious person must truly care for the girl if he's so affected. Hearing this, Randall blushes profusely. Could it be that he's fallen for Sylvia for real already? His mind wanders to all the times Sylvia makes his heart skip a beat, and then it hits him. He has feelings for Sylvia. Wow, took you long enough to realize. Austin continues, suggesting that the guy should give the girl a present. After all, everyone loves being given presents. More so, he should stay by her side and care for her until one day she'll love him completely. Elsewhere, Sylvia, accompanied by Jeffrey and another guard, invites Rubia on a stroll. Although she feels unsettled, Rubia agrees anyway. The two head downtown, but they're stopped by a fish vendor and his wife who seems to be well acquainted with Rubia. Actually, they seem extremely close, even saying that Rubia is like their own daughter. As the three interact, Sylvia looks at Rubia with awe. Who would have guessed that a noble lady like her would be so friendly with commoners? Chuckling, she makes a point to tease Rubia about it, earning her Rubia's annoyance. As an apology, she buys Rubia a jeweled butterfly ornament. Although she refuses at first, she eventually gives in and takes it, admiring it with awe. But as the day ends, Rubia finally confronts Sylvia, asking her for the real reason why she invited her. Caught red-handed, Sylvia admits the truth. She wants to ask for Rubia's help to learn more about the North. Although she doesn't decline, Rubia still plays hard to get. In the first place, why should she help Sylvia? Answering her, Sylvia nonchalantly states the obvious. Rubia will never become the Duchess, so it'd be better if she just cooperated with Sylvia instead. Once more, Rubia is annoyed at Sylvia, but she softens when Sylvia changes the topic, bringing up her close relationship with her father, Marquise Glaver. To Rubia, her father is the kindest man she knows. Listening to her talk so fondly about her father, Sylvia can only wonder if she's aware of her father's plotting. Then again, it is possible that he's scheming behind Rubia's back. Soon enough, the two engage in playful banter once again, but they're suddenly alarmed when Jeffrey alerts them to a trespasser. Ready to draw his sword, Jeffrey turns around only to see Randall with a large bouquet of flowers and a duck plushie. Immediately, Randall runs up to Sylvia, offering her his gifts. He recounts how Sylvia had found their room chilly, so he hopes that the plushie would keep her warm. After all, it contains a special heat stone. Sylvia, however, is irked. Is he subtly telling her to hug the duck at night instead of him? Ignoring her overthinking, Sylvia thanks Randall, and for the first time in a while, she smiles brightly, touched by his gesture. Her smile is even enough to make Randall blush. Behind them, Rubia watches them with distant emotion. Seeing them happy, she smiles to herself, finally accepting that she can't compete with Sylvia. I love her character so much. Her wariness towards Sylvia isn't out of jealousy. Time passes, and the Eve Festival is finally upon them. It's a festival held a day before the hunt, usually as a way of promoting the event. Unfortunately for Sylvia, she hasn't been able to enjoy these past few days. Why? Because Randall has been acting strange, showering her with all sorts of gifts almost every day. Receiving all those gifts, Sylvia can only think that maybe Randall has fallen in love with her for real. This predicament of hers she shares with Rubia, who isn't so enthusiastic to hear her out. Unwilling to listen to her anymore, Rubia gets up, preparing herself for the hunt. She turns to Sylvia, hoping to tell her not to follow, but instead she is met with her hand caressing her face. Face to face with each other, Sylvia moves closer, tying Rubia's loose ribbon for her. All the while, Rubia remains stiff, unsure how to react. Before long, she excuses herself and heads into the woods, shaking herself off from such an interaction. She's so flustered, look at her blush! As she wanders deeper into the woods, she spots a familiar figure, her own father, but he seems to be conversing with someone. Naturally, Rubia eavesdrops, but she's shocked to see her father talking with a demon. Listening to their conversation, the demon tells Marquise Glaver that he'll take care of Randall, and when he does, the Marquise can finally rule the North. This unsettles Rubia. Right then and there, she makes up her mind. She'll kill the demon from her hiding place. Hopefully, her act would lessen her father's crime of conspiring with demon folk. But before she can draw her weapon, the demon appears beside her. The demon is actually Raffled the Shredder, one of the weaker demon folk known to repeatedly challenge Randall. He, however, always meets the same fate of being defeated, leaving him with no choice but to flee before Randall can slay him. Now, standing before Rubia is Raffled himself. She tries to break free from his hold, but it's to no avail. He yanks her from her hiding spot, revealing her to her own father, who isn't too pleased to see her there. Without explanation, Marquise Glaver drags Rubia away, cutting his conversation with Raffled short. With each step, Rubia grows more restless and desperate, demanding to know what her father was doing conspiring with a demon. Having had enough, the Marquise finally snaps. He doesn't deny his involvement with the demon. In fact, he even justifies his scheming. He claims that everything he did was only to take back what is rightfully his. After all, House Belfort stole the North from House Glaver. With a look of grim certainty, he tells her it's too late to turn back from everything he's done. So it'd be in her best interest to keep her mouth shut. If anybody finds out, no doubt she'll be executed alongside him. Left alone, Rubia despairs, but beneath her a dark force stirs. Apparently, it's a lost spirit, one that Sylvia had attached to her earlier that day. That night, the spirit reports everything back to Sylvia, and although she's intrigued, she refuses to do anything about the situation. However, she wonders how Rubia will act. The following day, the sun shines as the hunt is set to take place, but all Sylvia can think about is to get caught in Marquise Glaver's plans and die. Hand in hand, Sylvia and Randall walk together before the hunt officially begins. To Randall's embarrassment, he can't seem to hide how flustered he is whenever he's with Sylvia. Just then, the hunt begins, and Randall takes this as his cue to get going. He's about to leave when Sylvia grips his hand tighter, pleading with him to stay safe during the hunt. His face flushes red in an instant, and although her words warm his heart, he reminds himself of the harsh truth, that Sylvia is probably only worried about his body, not him as Randall Belfort, her husband. I feel sad for Randall. Shortly after, Rubia, accompanied by her father, approaches Sylvia, asking for her handkerchief. Apparently, it's customary for noble ladies to give their handkerchiefs to friends or loved ones who are off to battle. This puzzles Sylvia, though, because the custom clearly doesn't apply to hunting competitions. Sensing her reluctance, Rubia tries to sway her, claiming that she's her only friend after all. Hearing this, Sylvia gives in, but as she hands Rubia her handkerchief, something is amiss. As thanks, Rubia offers to bring back an animal resembling Sylvia, despite the latter's behest. Not wanting to hold her for long, Sylvia encourages her to get going. But when father and daughter leave, she immediately stares at her palms, eyeing a well-folded note that Rubia had discreetly slipped into her hands earlier. A string of questions come to her mind as she wonders what Rubia could have written. Flicking it open, she reads through it, amused. Just then, Jeffrey comes to find her, but he's at a loss for words when she declares that she'll compete in the hunting competition. Elsewhere, Marquise Glaver leads Rubia deep into the forest, reminding her to stay quiet about his menacing plot. But as Rubia follows him, all she can think about is the note she left with Sylvia. Last night, Rubia wrote a letter to Sylvia detailing her father's act of treason by conspiring with the demon, Raffled. She suspects that they're trying to summon a demon beast during the hunt, so she begs Sylvia to alert Randall immediately. She, of all people, knows that she shares the blame for her father's crimes, but she's prepared to receive punishment either way. At present, Raffled arrives, reminding the Marquise about the jewel that he tasked him to bring. The two put their plan in motion, and immediately a demonic portal opens from the sky. The last piece? The jewel. It would be the key to their success. But just as Raffled takes the jewel, an arrow pierces it, shattering it to pieces. From the shadows, Randall and his men reveal themselves, ready to seize the traitors. Raffled and the Marquise look at each other confusingly, wondering how Randall caught wind of their plan. Then it hits the Marquise. This is probably Rubia's doing. From behind him, Rubia smiles with relief upon seeing help arrive. But her smile soon disappears when Randall holds her in contempt for plotting treason with her father. His words ring in her ears, and for a moment, her world shatters. Didn't Sylvia tell Randall about her letter? A storm brews inside Randall as he confronts Raffled. However, Raffled isn't one to back down. Summoning a surge of demonic energy, he unleashes it on Randall and his men. They're about to fight back, but Marquise Glaver threatens them, holding Rubia hostage. It turns out Sylvia never got to relay Rubia's letter to Randall, but for some reason, Randall did his own investigation days prior to the hunt. Apparently, days after executing the servant who released a demon into the castle, Randall and Austin went into the streets undercover, hoping to catch the true mastermind. As he concealed himself among the commoners, one nobleman's presence raised his suspicions. It was Marquise Glaver. Following the Marquise secretly, the two discovered that they'd been plotting to stage an attack during the hunting competition. Although the Marquise was one of his most trusted vassals, Randall couldn't just turn a blind eye. Putting his personal feelings aside, he and Austin returned to the palace, determined to put an end to Marquise Glaver's schemes. At present, Marquise Glaver holds a dagger to Rubia's throat, threatening to hurt her. So much for being the kindest person she knows. Seeing this unfold, Austin is appalled at how twisted the Marquise is. Unexpectedly, the Marquise snaps, but this time it's to clear Rubia's name. But because she's innocent, it makes her a better hostage. Concerned, Randall negotiates Rubia's release, but what the Marquise asks for is a magic portal so he can escape. Hearing this, Rubia makes a brave decision that leaves her in tears and sends Randall running toward her. She decides to sacrifice herself. Just as she launches herself towards her father's blade, darkness erupts from the ground, cutting off the Marquise's hand. Seeing this, Raffled is in shock because that certainly wasn't his doing. But as he's caught off guard, Randall swoops in and drives a blade through him. Days later, news of Randall's triumph spread far and wide. The demon, Raffled, has finally been executed. Marquise Glaver, on the other hand, is sentenced to death. As for Rubia, due to her efforts of reporting her father's crimes, she's exempted from any punishment. And speaking of Rubia, she has yet to recover from her injuries. But guess who's taking care of her? Sylvia! To Sylvia, taking care of Rubia is the least she can do, considering she failed to inform Randall about her note in time. In truth, it was Sylvia who summoned the darkness to save Rubia. But what she didn't expect was for Randall to be there. How did he even know about Marquise Glaver's schemes? But what piques her curiosity more is Rubia's actions. Unable to hold herself back, she asks Rubia herself. How was she able to let go of all her earthly attachment when deciding to sacrifice herself? Rubia is astonished by her question. Her answer, though, is simple. She only did what she was meant to do as a human. Hearing this, Sylvia doesn't press the matter further. When she leaves, she finds herself pondering Rubia's answer. Just then, Randall arrives, and looking at him, she can't help but pity him for all the things he's endured. Her concern doesn't get unnoticed by Randall, so he quickly reassures her that he's fine. Sure, he's upset about the Marquise's betrayal, but he'll learn to live with it. For the life of her, Sylvia really can't figure out how human minds and hearts work. That afternoon, Sylvia's parents come to visit. But when they ask if she'll come home to Florette, Sylvia is speechless, and so is Randall, who overhears their conversation. Some time ago, Randall was ready to send Sylvia back to Florette with her parents. But the same can't be said now when he's already grown attached to her. Trying to peek through the door, Randall sticks around for Sylvia's reaction. To his surprise, Sylvia declines her parents' offer, expressing that she'll remain in the north. Unable to contain his happiness, Randall accidentally drops the tray of snacks, causing all eyes to fall on him. To be honest, Randall is so happy that he could just cry. But once more, he has to remind himself that Sylvia isn't staying because she loves him. After all, she just wants a physical relationship with him. Later, over dinner, the atmosphere is dampened when Sylvia's parents ask if there's any news of a baby anytime soon. Trying to play safe, Randall only replies that they hope to have one all in good time. Internally, Randall realizes something deep. Maybe the reason Sylvia has been adamant on consummating their marriage is because she feels pressured to bear an heir. Oh, believe me, sir, it's definitely not that. Our girl is just tired of living 99 lives already. That night, in the solace of their bedroom, Randall makes it his mission to reassure Sylvia. Speaking from the heart, he tells her how he doesn't want her to feel pressure about giving him an heir. However, Sylvia's reaction isn't what he expected at all. From beside him, she trembles, exclaiming that no matter what happens, she can't have a baby. Tension and awkwardness seep into the air, and even as the two call it in for the night, they're left lying awake, unable to sleep. Randall is worried and curious, while Sylvia is clearly shaken, probably by something she's kept hidden all these years. Sylvia starts to remember her second reincarnation as Xenia, who, like her, was always waiting to die. Every day, Xenia went to the demon's den, but every day, a man always stopped her and got in her way, which left her plans always ruined. But even after rejecting and pushing the man away, he still didn't stop pestering her. As time passed, Xenia found herself falling for him, and soon enough, the two built a family together. Xenia and the man had a peaceful and happy life together with their daughter. However, this was destroyed when Xenia worked as a mercenary sorcerer. Some people who lost their jobs became jealous of Xenia, so as revenge, they burned her house with her family inside. Losing your baby is worse than dying. After living through that second life, she never dared to get pregnant again in any of her reincarnations. The following day, Sylvia visits the town square with Jeffrey, who is curious why Sylvia brought him with her. Sylvia only smiles at him and asks him to stop addressing her formally since they're outside. As Sylvia strolls around, she suddenly hears someone chasing after a pickpocket. Sylvia instantly realizes that this is a great plan to blow off some steam, hence, she instructs Jeffrey to chase after the pickpocket. But as she wanders around, the pickpocket is quickly caught by a girl who looks so innocently cute, leaving Sylvia disappointed. Upon looking at the girl, Sylvia starts to see a resemblance to her and a puppy, which Sylvia thinks looks cute. She then helps the girl stop the pickpocket from escaping. Suddenly, the pickpocket's mouth starts to bubble, making the girl think that her bite is actually dangerous. Sylvia catches the girl's attention as she helps her, and instantly, the girl is in awe of Sylvia's beauty. She even thinks Sylvia's an angel. However, their conversation is interrupted by Jeffrey, who rushes towards Sylvia with concern. Seeing Jeffrey's concerned face, Sylvia explains that she had gotten lost because she wasn't good with directions. Hearing this, Jeffrey then comments that Sylvia can't survive in the world if she's that bad with navigation. Jeffrey later looks at the girl beside Sylvia and instantly recognizes her as Philia Sacrine, the daughter of Marquis Sacrine. Realizing that she's in the presence of Duchess Belfort, Philia quickly pays her respect. But out of nowhere, she informs Sylvia that she, Philia, was previously arranged to be married to Duke Belfort. Intrigued, Sylvia then decides to bring Philia back to the palace with her. In the palace, Randall is shocked by Philia's arrival and is speechless when she headlocks him. Seeing this exchange, Sylvia realizes that they might have been close since childhood, but for some reason, she feels troubled. She can't stand seeing them so close to each other. Sylvia's thoughts are later cut off when Randall approaches her and adoringly suggests that she rest in their room so she doesn't catch a cold. As for Philia, he instructs Wilcott to assist her. As Sylvia and Randall walk away together, Philia can only stare at them from behind. As if sensing a peering gaze behind her, Sylvia then becomes uncomfortable. I hope Philia isn't a villain. Later that night, Philia sneaks out of her room but is surprised when Jeffrey grabs her. Curious, he asks why she's walking alone at night. Philia relaxes after seeing that it's just Jeffrey who grabbed her out of nowhere. She then excitedly asks if he was looking for her at such a late hour. Unfortunately, it isn't what Philia expects though, because Jeffrey just tells her that he was simply on night patrol. Blankly, he tells her to head back inside. This makes Philia feel disappointed, and she quickly stops him, questioning why he was protecting Sylvia. In the past, he had promised her that he would never become anyone's bodyguard. He cuts her off, reminding her that he only promised it to Philia, his friend, not the daughter of Marquis Sacrine. Hearing this, Philia is speechless and a tad bit hurt. The next morning, Randall is busy forcing Sylvia to eat breakfast, but she keeps on rejecting it. Meanwhile, Philia looks at the two weirdly, finding them ridiculous. She proceeds to eat peacefully while wondering why Randall is close with Sylvia, when in fact, Sylvia's family is on the king's side. On the other hand, Sylvia starts to notice Philia's stares, making her think that Philia might be jealous of how Randall is treating her. Thus, she begins to act warmly towards him by eating the food that Randall gave her, making Randall flustered a little bit. Hence, Sylvia thinks she has won this round. Later that day, Philia tags along with Sylvia and Jeffrey as they walk around the town square. This makes Sylvia think that she might be stalking her, which is half true. However, to Philia, her real intention is that Jeffrey and Sylvia shouldn't be alone together. Sylvia sees cute flowers, so she decides to buy them and show them to Thelma as decoration for the debutante ball. But then Philia asks Sylvia, albeit innocently, if she's going to bring them to the castle. Randall's allergic to siren flowers. Sylvia feels a bit slighted, jealous even, because Philia clearly knows Randall more. Trying to keep her pride, she then hands the flowers to Jeffrey, saying that it's her present to him. This gesture makes Philia fume, jealousy boiling within. They are cute when they're teasing each other. As Sylvia continues to walk, a woman bumps her, and she instantly feels a darkness from that person. Her curiosity gets the best of her, so she quickly follows the woman. Sylvia starts to think that the woman might be a demon, but then again, she can't sense any malice, and the woman's skin color is different from demons. However, Sylvia also knows that potions can help alter a demon's appearance. Although it's challenging to acquire them, it's still possible. Sylvia is so lost in her thoughts that she doesn't even notice that the woman has already become aware of her. Straightforward, she confronts Sylvia, asking what her intentions are for following her. Just looking at the woman, Sylvia affirms that the lady is indeed a woman. Meanwhile, the lady is busy being in awe at Sylvia's beauty. The woman starts praising Sylvia's beauty and invites her for a drink in her bar. Arriving at the bar, the woman then orders a special alcohol for Sylvia. She cuts straight to the chase, inviting Sylvia to work at her tavern. When the drink arrives, she suggests that Sylvia give it a taste. Sylvia, of course, knows better. It's clearly spiked with poison. However, she still drinks it because she doesn't deem it too deadly. Sylvia then asks the woman where her boss is. She tells her that she'll only accept the job offer if it's directly from the owner, which catches the woman off guard. The woman composes herself and tries to stall as she waits for the poison to take effect. But to her dismay, a waitress barges in, reporting that the Duke of Belfort and his knights are outside waiting for Sylvia, the Duchess of Belfort. Messed with the wrong person, huh? Everyone in the tavern freezes when Randall himself storms in, raiding the place looking for Sylvia. The woman flinches upon seeing Randall, noting how he gives off an air of strength. But then Randall walks right toward her, a murderous aura enveloping him. Luckily, Sylvia manages to cool him down. Randall, ever the sweetest husband, checks up on Sylvia, but Sylvia is curious why he's in the tavern to begin with. Apparently, he received a report that she was missing, which explains their current situation. He had abandoned demon hunting in an instant to look for her. Randall still stares at the woman warily. He also wants to know why Sylvia is in the tavern. Sylvia explains the situation, stating that she was the one who invited the woman for a drink as thanks for finding her brooch. Our girl can lie with a straight face. Witnessing how Sylvia helps her, the woman realizes that Sylvia isn't an ordinary woman. Hence, she lets Sylvia go even if she gets in trouble with the other side. Before Sylvia leaves, she asks for the woman's name, to which she introduces herself as Bella. Back home, Sylvia notices how silent Randall is. He's probably mad about her escape. But just as prideful, she doesn't talk to him either, since she is also annoyed by how close he and Philia are. When Randall finally calms down, he truthfully lets his feelings spill. He only acted that way because he was worried about her safety. Why is he so cute? Randall continues to share with Sylvia how scared and anxious he was after finding out that she was gone. Sylvia sees how sincere he looks, and she instantly realizes that his feelings for her are genuine. But she can already foresee that if these feelings continue, it will be difficult for her to leave and die peacefully. His feelings will be like a chain around her neck, holding her down. Without emotion, she apologizes and tells him that she would not do it again. Admittedly, it was careless of her to act that way, especially since she's the Duchess of Belfort. Being the diplomat between them, Randall tries to make Sylvia understand more, but Sylvia's cold attitude towards him was obviously a rejection. A request for him not to move closer. Taking a hint, he then takes his leave, hurt and disappointed. Oh, poor Randall. But I also understand where Sylvia is coming from. Meanwhile, Bella is still recovering from how scary Randall was. Later, she enters a secret room within the tavern, a room where people are intoxicated by greed, gambling their time and money away. Just then, Bella's aura also changes, becoming more frightening. After assessing the gambling room, she proceeds to her office and decides to report to her boss. She reports that she just met with Randall and how she didn't realize that the lady that she was trying to recruit was the Duchess of Belfort. This infuriates Bella's boss, and he starts scolding her for not knowing who Sylvia is, when in fact, she has already been stationed in the north for months. He also adds that Bella should be thankful for not arousing suspicion about their illegal activities, aka their hidden gambling room. With a voice filled with ill intent, Bella's boss reminds her about their real plan and instructs her to start working on it. Hearing this, Bella grins and agrees to her boss, who just so happens to be the Crown Prince. Although she isn't too fond of her boss, she puts up with him because having someone as powerful as him would be beneficial one day, especially on a day she'd want to eat as many humans as she can. So, the Crown Prince wants Randall dead? Meanwhile, Philia is back at Sakrina's estate, and upon arriving, she is hit by her mother, who nags about how irresponsible Philia is for disturbing the Belfort family. After being punished, she tries to dance around her fury. Hugging her mother and acting cute might just do the trick. Back at the Belfort estate, both Randall and Sylvia are more distant than ever. While they're in the garden, Sylvia notices how cold Randall is as he maintains his distance. It makes her feel a little sad. But hey, this is what she wanted, right? A little while later, Wilcott calls their attention, reminding them that they should be elsewhere. At their sponsored orphanage, to be exact. Arriving at the orphanage, the children excitedly approach Randall, telling him how much they miss him. However, their attention instantly turns towards Sylvia, and they start to stare at her in awe, mesmerized by her beauty. The children then start to interrogate Randall about who Sylvia is, and later tease him for bringing his girlfriend. That's his wife, actually. As Randall busies himself entertaining the children, Sylvia takes the opportunity to get some fresh air. It's not like they'd even notice she's gone, right? Outside the orphanage, Sylvia is amazed by how beautiful and peaceful the place is. Even the weather seems to be perfect. She's about to nap peacefully under the tree's shade when she spots Austin happily playing with the children outdoors. Can I please have Austin? At one point, the ball rolls towards Sylvia, and only then does Austin notice her. She comments on how close he is with the kids, and well, he doesn't deny it. Truth be told, he's indebted to these children, but he doesn't explain anything. Trying to change the topic, he tells Sylvia that she should probably head inside the East Room to rest. Without question, she heeds his words. But when she enters the room, she is met with an adorable sight. Randall's peacefully sleeping with the children. Ever so carefully, she approaches him, just hovering over his sleeping frame. A smile forms on her lips as she takes in her view. But just then, his eyes flutter awake. Randall is flustered to see her, but it intensifies when she smiles and gently caresses his hair. Realizing how close their faces are, Randall blushes a deep red, but is then distracted when the other kids also wake up from their naps. When the kids see Sylvia, they cutely ask if she's the teacher who's going to read to them. Hearing this, Randall panics and tries to stop the kids from pressuring Sylvia to read to them, but then she surprises him. She agrees to read to the children. Sylvia then tells the kids to gather around her as she begins. Not her reading them a book on how to die quicker. She's too funny. Randall stares at Sylvia, noticing how great she is with the kids. Because of this, his curiosity eats away at his mind again. Why was Sylvia so adamant on not wanting to have a baby? What could have happened? Pushing his luck, he decides to ask her again later. When Randall and Sylvia are about to leave, the kids try to beg Sylvia to visit them again. All the while, Randall looks butthurt. Why aren't they asking him to visit again, too? Later in the carriage, Randall tries his luck again as he asks why she's so against having a child. Unfortunately, she dodges his question. With a smile on her face, she tells him that their relationship right now is already perfect as it is. Rejection and disappointment slap Randall right in the face. But he's stubborn, so he finally makes a decision. If it's just his body she wants, then it's exactly what he'll give. The day of the debutante ball finally arrives, and both Sylvia and Randall look exquisite. But playful as ever, Sylvia teases him, telling him he looks cuter in his birthday suit, making Randall blush. As the two dance together, Randall strikes a deal with Sylvia. He'll let her touch him in exchange for one day of her time. He's so cute. Sylvia is confused, but she quickly catches on, realizing that Randall still hasn't given up on pursuing her. He thinks that agreeing to her past contract will pave the way into her heart. Knowing this, Sylvia starts to realize that in the past, she might have appeared too obsessed with consummating their marriage. But the fact that he thinks she'll take his bait? She's quite appalled at his audacity. Ultimately, Sylvia decides to accept Randall's deal without explaining herself. After all, this is for the better, right? Randall must want her heart so much that he'd agree to give his body to her. Hearing her accept his deal, Randall is ecstatic. Meanwhile, Philia stares at Jeffrey, who, at present, is being circled by ladies. She then starts getting annoyed by how thirsty they are for his attention. She's sure that there are other knights they can bother. Seeing how aggressive the ladies are, Philia marches right at them, ready to stake her claim on him. But she's intercepted by her father, who pulls her towards Randall. He wants Philia to dance with the Duke. Philia tries to refuse, but when her father stares daggers at her, she realizes it's no use. He's clearly not in his right senses, Philia thinks. Soon enough, Marquis Sacrine offers Philia up to Randall, suggesting they dance together. With a smile, Sylvia encourages Randall, but Philia is no fool not to notice Sylvia's discomfort. While dancing, Philia asks Randall to help her get the ladies away from Jeffrey. However, Randall refuses. Philia later tries to remind Randall that Sylvia's family, the Florettes, has close ties with the king, but Randall quickly cuts her off and tells her that he doesn't care since he loves her, even if Sylvia did reject him. Knowing this, Philia then proposes a plan to make Jeffrey and Sylvia jealous. Oh, not a bad plan, Philia. From a distance, Sylvia stares at Randall and Philia. Beside her, Marquis Sacrine comments that Randall and Philia make a lovely pair. Internally, Sylvia seethes with anger at the Marquise, but she doesn't let it show. Trying to keep her dignity, she excuses herself from the Marquise. But just as she leaves, something changes within the Marquise. It's like a switch that's just been flicked. He suddenly becomes conscious of his surroundings as if waking up from a trance. Was Philia's father possessed by a demon or what? Meanwhile, Randall disappoints Philia as he rejects her proposal. He doesn't want to force or manipulate Sylvia into loving him, which is why he wants to continue showing Sylvia how genuine he is in pursuing her. He then cuts their dance short, excusing himself shortly. Left alone, Philia inwardly agrees with Randall's words. Motivated, she then gains the courage to ask Jeffrey for a dance. And guess what? He happily agrees. Meanwhile, Randall approaches Sylvia, who then invites him to join her on the balcony. As they enjoy the fresh air, they both find out that neither of them have ever joined a debutante ball before. Bonded by a strange experience, or a lack thereof, Randall then asks Sylvia to dance with him outside, experiencing their first debutante ball together. His gesture warms Sylvia's heart, and she happily agrees to dance with him. Hand in hand, the two dance under the moonlight. That's so romantic. Back inside, Rubia is busy rejecting everyone who dares to approach her. All she can think about is the paperwork she could have finished if she wasn't attending this ball. But she doesn't have a choice because she also wanted to pay her respects to the Duchess. Not wanting to socialize, Rubia retreats to a corner to hide from the crowd. But to her dismay, the spot is already occupied by a bored mage, Austin. Seeing her invade his space, Austin tells her to find another corner because this one was clearly taken already. This annoys Rubia, but luckily, she knows him too well. For the price of 1 gold, she offers to buy his spot. Ever the negotiator, Austin declines, saying he'll only accept if she raises it to 5 gold. The guy's definitely a hustler. In her mind, Rubia can't understand why someone with his position and talent would be so easily swayed by money. Meanwhile, Austin is internally judging Rubia too, noting that she's just like other aristocrats. Just then, Countess Seriad, the famous chatterbox, struts towards the two. Bold as ever, she tries to persuade Austin and Rubia into dancing with her son and daughter. Quick on their feet, Rubia and Austin avoid the situation, claiming that they were just about to dance with each other. Oh, new couple alerts! The following day, Sylvia is surprised to read the headlines. Rubia and Austin were caught dancing with each other at the debutante ball. Soon, even the maids start commenting on how the two make a great pair. But speaking of great pairs, Sylvia asks the maids to help her get ready because she and Randall are heading out for a date. And that's it for today, guys. What did you think? As always, don't forget to like the video and comment for the next part so we know you want more. Remember to subscribe and turn on notifications for updates. See you in the next one!